There are a lot of people who are still sitting back, posting their ads, or maybe they got signs out and people are calling them and they are meeting with them and they're buying diabetic test strips from them and they're turning right around and they're flipping them, making an extra 3, 4, 500 or more a month with just a click and a 1-minute conversation after the meetup and earning profit. How long does it take you to make an extra $300 to $500 if you had to work a job? Even if you're doing, let me tell you, because I've looked at some of the numbers and I'm not knocking no side hustle. You do what you have the energy to do. But from time to time, they'll send me these little texts from like Runner or DoorDash or just different things like that. And I see, they'll say, well, if you do, basically in order for you to make like an extra 100 or 200, you got to do about 10 or 15 or 20, trips. That's a lot of doggone running. I'm in Texas. We got traffic. But if I have one appointment with a person or if I meet somebody at a Walmart or something, remember, one of the things I teach you to do is you post or you market as far as you want to go. You know your area. So, if I meet with someone and they have, 5, 6, 10 boxes, you know what I'm saying? For what it has taken you to do in 10 or 12 trips, I can do in one interaction. So it cuts down the amount of time that you're out amongst all the traffic, if that's your situation, because it's definitely my situation here. Cuts down a lot of the wear and tear. Then you have to, when you're doing things like DoorDash, or if you're doing Uber Eats or whatever, then you're having to go pick up, deliver. You had to get out your vehicle. What if you got to go up the stairs? Like I said, you do what you have the energy to do. But I'm just trying to get you to understand, if you're doing that, why not add this to it? You're already out. This would be a really good opportunity for you to probably triple the amount of income that you're producing, because if you're waiting, you're getting a signal or you're getting a text or whatever from the app to say, hey, you got this order or whatever. And I'm just to kind of back it up a little bit. I remember being in an Uber and I was riding in the front seat and I saw where some of the rides were coming up. And they were like $4 and $5. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of really low. And I understand there's a need for it, but Jesus, Devontae Christ, that is not really a lot of money when you figure for the service, for the wear and tear, for the, the time that it's taking. That's just not. So what I'm saying is that still, even in the side hustle world, in the gig world, where you are allowing other people to control, yet and still, the amount of money that you make, because they're doing the marketing for you. They're providing the app. You understand what I'm saying? When you can take things into your own hand, get a little knowledge on how to market. It doesn't take a whole lot. You just need to be where the people are looking. It's just a few places. It's not hard. And then people start contacting you. You make that connection, see what they have, take it from there, meet, and the rest we take from there. And you will see that the amount of return that you get is way more about, you know what I'm saying? Because you're not going to really ever get what you're worth, because you're still working for somebody else. Even though it's Uber or if it's DoorDash, they tell you, oh, you make your own schedule, but they still determining the amount of money that you make, And well, you could say, well, Tanya, will you determine the amount of money? Well, we have a market that we're working in. So there's certain things we just have to go by. However, I will take doing and getting the return that I get on diabetic test strips any day over if I got to go. If I have to do 50 trips to make $500, I don't see where the value. What the heck? That's 50 times up and down the doggone stairs, ripping and running in the traffic. I'm not gonna do that. When I could probably get for $500, I could probably, that's probably 2 clients for me, if that. And we're talking about with medical commodities. So I just felt the need to come on here right quick. I wanted to, because I just paid an invoice. That's when I was just paying an invoice out. And I thought about that because, people are consistently making money, even while they working their job or whatever that they're doing. And it's no big deal, you know? So I just want to make sure that you are not the type, I don't want you to feel like, well, I didn't know this was available. I didn't know this opportunity was available, because that's how I felt, about different opportunities that I became a part of. And it just seemed like, wow, and I'll tell you a little story about what I mean. For those of you who don't know, right now, I've been licensed now about 14 years. And when I got started, I started doing burial policies. Okay, where I had a book of business I was working, and I was working with your grandmama and them, and I knew in those situations when I was dealing with grandmama, I knew all the children, the grandchildren, nieces, aunties, and all of that. And I serviced that family, right? And most of the policies were more so just to cover burial, 5,000, maybe 10,000 every now and again. But for the most part, the majority of the clients that I used to see back then, it was about a $5,000 policy, right? So fast forward, which takes me to about almost 4 years ago, I was introduced to financial education, which is something, I didn't think wasn't even important. You know what I'm saying? Like most of us, we like financial education, what is it? It's nothing that was very appealing to us, because it wasn't something that was marketed to us as something that we should be interested in, and so I went to a workshop, and they were going over proper protection. And, the gentleman who was doing the workshop, he showed me the policies with an S that he had, him and his family. And he was showing the cash value. So for those of you who don't know, whenever you have a permanent policy, a life insurance, there's different types. There's five different types of life insurance. So he was showing me in a permanent policy, you pay the premium, but there's also an amount of interest that is earned in those policies. And then when you have policies that are more flexible, like your universal or your index universal policies, you have the ability to just say, for example, if the policy itself, if it's a $500,000 policy, it's a permanent policy, just the insurance alone may cost me $100. I'm just hypothetical, just $100. But I have the ability to put more money into the policy. Anything over that $100 goes into my cash value. My cash value is then credited based upon the performance of the index, and I earn interest. And I have a cap of one policy of like 15%. And even when the market goes down, my policy, I don't lose money. I have a guaranteed 0.75% that I get. Okay, so my point is that when he showed me the cash value in his policy, and his cash value was like high 5-figure and some 6. And I'm recalling that the people that I used to go in service and see may have only had like a couple thousand as far as cash value and things like that. It was that part that took me out, because I'm like, how in the world, how are you building up this kind of money in this life insurance and you've only had it for 10 years? That was a shock to me. But see, that's where financial education comes in at. And I was feeling, which is getting to my whole point, I was feeling like, well, why did I not know about this opportunity? Why has no one ever came into our neighborhoods? Just like I'm out here y'all in the neighborhood selling these little $5,000 policies. Why were we not, where was this knowledge? Where was this information? Why we're not going to the people showing them how to build wealth instead of these little dinky little. But so that's what I'm saying. It's that feeling of, I just didn't know this was available to me. I don't want you to have that feeling. I want you to know there are opportunities that are available to you. There are a lot of different things that you can do. A lot of people say, well, I didn't know nothing about this. A lot of things you will be surprised where you're able to make a substantial amount of money with the least amount of time. And so it's about the information that you obtain, the network of people that you're even dealing with. And so that was also the case even for financial education. When you start learning better, you do better. And I'm so thankful that now we have that proper protection. It has actually put us in a position to where when the wealth transfer takes place, my family will be okay financially. They're okay financially now, but it's like, imagine I'm a person who's out here helping people and person passes away. There is nothing other than just the amount for the burial that's being covered. So if the house needs to be paid for, or if children need to go to school, there was no money left for that. The only thing we did was make sure that people had money to pay for a funeral. And that's not enough. That's not enough. So financial education, it makes you aware. It just brings more to your attention. Hey, it's more to it than just paying to die. There are obligations. You have responsibilities. Even your debt don't die with you. So anyway, let's get back on track. So what I'm saying is, how long does it take you to make an extra $300 to $500? And not knocking the hustle, but I say even for you people who are doing like the Ubers and the DoorDashes, maybe you should reach out to me and add this to your arsenal. So while you're out there working and doing what you do, see, back in the day when I was going door to door doing insurance, and I would go and drive to different areas and different counties or parishes, and I would take and put my signs out in those areas that I knew I was going to frequent. I only marketed as far as I was willing to go. And so when you're out and you're working in different areas, you could do the same thing. You could be door dashing and Ubering, but also putting your signs out so when people are going to be calling and whatever. And bam, you're able to make it make sense. So you can hit me up, you can text me. The number is 832-291-2470. If you're interested in joining our Medical Commodities group, send me your name, also one of the criteria is that our training is done in Facebook. I know a lot of people say, well, I don't do Facebook. The purpose of Facebook is because that's where our training is at, but it's also where a lot of our marketing takes place. So I just, start you out, just like I started out with doing $0 marketing. It's something that is definitely worth checking into. Don't sleep on it, and just let it work for you. And there's other options as well, but you can kind of start from there and start making some extra money. This inflation, it's not going to get any better, people. And I don't like to be a bearer of bad news, but the reality of it, you see what they're doing. You see how this administration is rolling. The price of food is going up, gas, everything else, but your money hasn't changed. So it's setting you up for a fall. But don't allow yourself to fall. You see the handwriting on the wall, go ahead and start taking advantage. Don't take on extra jobs that are going to take away from your time. wearing down on your health or, taking you away from your family, do something that you can get the amount of money, if not more, from one or two transactions as opposed to working an 8-hour shift. That's all I'm saying. I am one of those people who is definitely a part and supports the Great Resignation. I don't think people should give up their time, their quality of life for things that don't make sense. And I'm not saying that working doesn't make sense. I'm just saying that if we're living in a time where rents for places are like $1,200 just to live in somewhere decent, and you have children, $1,200, and you have other bills, you have your car notes, your insurances, your healthcare, things like that, and you're only paying people like $10 an hour or $15 an hour in a time like this, I don't think that's really worth it, because it puts you in struggle. It keeps you in struggle. And for in situations like that, especially with women, I'm a definitely partial to women in situations, because a lot of times maybe you may be dependent upon someone financially, and sometimes that will warrant some very interesting situations. You may have things that you're having to deal with because someone is the breadwinner or helping you in a situation. No. It's two things that I will say for sure that have helped me along the way. And I divorced and had 6 children when I divorced. And I got my insurance license. I also was a bail bondsman and had my mobile notary business. My point is that I got up and I utilized what I can utilize that will allow me to make money, but also have the time and flexibility for whatever came up with my children. I had to be available. I couldn't be locked in and locked down on a job and something happened and I couldn't be available. You understand what I'm saying? So first thing I did was got my insurance license. And later on, I did my mobile notary business all while I was in Mississippi. When I moved to Louisiana, I didn't do it. But that's when I started picking up the medical commodities, and that helped to definitely bridge the gap. That just made a difference. I was showing my group. I had went back and I'm going to try to pull it up when I'm talking to y'all, because I don't like to just talk. I like to show you. I like to show you instead. So let me just kind of pull this up from the group. If you give me just a second here. And it was just a post I did the other day showing when I first really got started, the amount of money that I was making. Here it is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to this particular page. Okay, so it says this was my 60-day total. And then I wanted you to click on it so you can see the date. This was June the 8th of 2016. So within 60 days, I made $7,613. So that within 2 months, my side hustle, I want you to let that, and that's back in 2016, and my numbers have increased dramatically since then. And I'm just saying, I'm not the type of person to tell you what you need to do, but you do what feels right for you. But for me, I'm getting older. Not that that's an excuse, but it's just a lot that I just don't want to do. So I understand like this whole Great Resignation deal. I get it more than anyone could ever understand, of just really doing something that's going to give you more bang for your buck. if that makes sense. Least amount of time, greatest amount of return. So between the medical commodities and also with the financial education and also with my insurance as well, I would say any type of what the statistics say, any type that sales is the highest paid profession, and it is number one because a lot of it is based on the amount of effort that you put into it, having a product or service that is needed, and like, you know, just making sure that you market. He who markets the most wins, period. Marketing nowadays doesn't have to consist of you having this budget where you have to spend so much money. I'm so thankful that I have learned, you know, utilize the tools that you have. A lot of y'all looking at me right now on YouTube. It didn't cost me not one quarter to get you to see my video. I just got on here and did it and then put it on YouTube. And then you happen to come across it. You see how that worked? It's the consistency also, you know? So what I'm saying is that you can also just take advantage and utilize what you have. You say, well, I don't know what's what. It's so many people on YouTube. I know it's a lot of information, but you know, you just kind of have to get on and just kind of just try to figure it out and catch up. I don't know, just pick something, you know. So even if it was just to start with medical commodities, it's going to teach you a lot. It's going to teach you a lot for people who maybe have not ever been in business for themselves, never, you know, entrepreneurship was not really the direction. It's okay because it's really not hard. I promise you, it's just not hard. It's about supply and demand. You have a buyer and a seller. It's like when you go in the store and you go buy you a bag of Cheetos and buy you a pop. Bam, that concept. That's the game. When you step out your door and you see all those signs and you see all those businesses and you see when you step out your door, it's how many people gonna take your money? They marketing you from the moment you get out the door, from the moment you pick up your phone, the moment you look at TV. It's all marketing, all of it. Every commercial, even on the news, they marketing something. They want you to go do this. They want you to go do that. You have to get in where you fit in. But the main thing is get started, do something. So, you know, you can try doing this. There's other things that you can do, but I just like to tell you about things that I know work. They work for me even yet and still now in 2022. So, all right, it's 9:44. I'm gonna get ready. I have an appointment that's gonna be coming into my office and then I have more stuff to do. So I just wanted to chat with y'all for a moment today. And if you're interested and you wanna get started in our medical commodities business startup group, it is still $100 until we get the NFT set up. Well, we're in the process of doing a lot of things. So there will be some changes coming in the very, very near future. Right now, it's still $100. And that comes along with the mentorship, that comes along with the training, that comes along with also having me as a buyer. So talk to you later. Bye-bye for now. Take care.